Hey, mom and dad, I want to talk to you about two must have resources that you can purchase today so that you can start having more confident and bold talks with your elementary school kids about pornography. I know it's crazy that we even have to talk about this, but when the reality is that the majority of kids who have their first encounter with pornography, studies show is the average age, is 11 years old. Some studies show as young as 8 years old. I know for one of my kids, it was as young as 11 years old the first time they saw an image of pornography, and it traumatized them, to say the least. That's a whole nother story. But the scariest statistic that I read recently is that 10%, okay, so 1 in every 10 visitors to hardcore, violent, women hating and degrading and objectifying, disgusting pornography sites is under the age of 10 years old. Okay, so that's the category, 10 years old and younger. And 10% of the visitors to that site is under that age. Is that your child? Is it mine? I've got one child, well, I've got two, but one's 2 years old, but I've got a 4-year-old, and then I have an 11-year-old as well. And so we, many times as parents, are thinking, okay, first of all, what the heck is happening in this planet? I didn't sign up for this. Okay, I get that. Welcome to parenting in 2020. But secondly, how am I going to overcome this fear that I have? I'm petrified, I'm paralyzed, I put it off. My wife bought me the book, and I'm just like, and she's like, come on, honey, you got to talk to the boys about it, or the kids, or your daughter, whatever. And you're putting it off. I get it. I know exactly how that feels. But getting the books is a great way to do this, because you don't have to come up with all these answers, or you don't have to be like super prepared with everything. You can come in and you can have these conversations with your elementary school kids. I've actually read this book with my 4-year-old, okay? And we don't use the term pornography in this book. I'm going to talk to you guys just briefly about these two books here in a second, but I just wanted to just give you a couple of tips here. These are age-appropriate books, and I love them both. They're not perfect, and I think the one of them I'm going to talk to you about, there's a couple of little tips that I want to share with you about it, but they help you as a parent relax because they've done all the heavy lifting for you, okay? So anytime you're afraid to have a conversation with your kids or whatever, the general rule is when we're talking about sexual issues or pornography or social media issues or whatever, you want to get a resource, because that allows you to look at the resource, read it, have someone else be the expert, okay? So that is a great key that I wanted to tell you about. If you haven't gotten these two books, okay, I'll do them in this order. This was released first, Good Pictures and Bad Pictures, Porn Proofing Today's Young Kids. I can't see it as I look in the mirror in this thing. So pick up this book. I'll show you it completely there so you can see it, and the authors and everything. Just, I guess, grab it on Amazon or whatever. Had this for a while. This is a little bit more advanced. Okay, so I think they talk about getting it for 7-year-olds and up. I think maybe even a little older. You definitely can try this with your 7, 8-year-old. It could be more so for me, even 9, 10, 11. I'd even go into 12-year-olds with this. As you can see, there's just more stuff to talk about. They get into the neuroscience of it just a little bit, not in a freaky way. And then they get into a cool plan that they call Can Do. And it's just giving you the steps of what happens if you see pornography. Again, you can see anything more than 3 steps can get a little gnarly, so you want it to get older kids to do this and read this. I'd even read this with my 13-year-old. The thing that I want to say about some of these books and books like this is that don't, just because they seem a little young, don't think you can't read them with older kids, okay? This is the younger version, Good Pictures, Bad Pictures Junior. And I read this recently again with my 11-year-old. Maybe he was 10 when I did that again. But you can see how simple this one is. Okay, so this is like super simple, it seems, right? However, the reason why I'm telling you that you can read this with younger kids is you can stop every page and like ask a question. Or in this page they have one. Have you ever seen a picture, a cartoon, or video of people with no clothes on showing their private parts? So you can just pause there and just ask them a question, or where did you see that, or talk story a little bit. If you haven't, don't worry. There's something good that you can do if you have seen a bad picture, and then they kind of talk you through it, and talking about telling adults and whatever. So you can pause and then just say, which kind of who are the adults in your life that you would go and talk to, or what if you saw something at a friend's house? So you can elaborate on using the book as sort of a jump-off point books like these, you can elaborate and then just have conversations. So just wanted to give you that key today. If you haven't picked up those 2 resources and you have toddlers up until elementary school kind, even 11, 12-year-olds in your family, these are, in my opinion, must-have resources. You want to cycle back again maybe every 6 months, or maybe try both books. If you've got an 8-year-old, try this one first, maybe start with this and then jump into this. Or maybe you start with this with your 6-year-old, and then when they turn 7 or 8, you jump back in again. Just remember that this is a conversation that has to keep going, okay? It's not just a one and done. Come back around 8 months later and hit it again. Use a different book. That's why I'm encouraging you to get both books. I'm not getting paid to share. I don't even know these folks. I'd like to get to know them, but I don't know them. But I think they're doing incredible work, so thank you for the work that you're doing. But keep coming back to the books, and of course, if you have multiple kids, then you can purchase that and invest in your family and their future, okay? Listen, I'm talking about more of these secrets about how to not just porn-proof your kids, but how to deal with all the technology, as well as building heart-to-heart connections with your family, with your kids, and the guidelines that you should have in your home, all the stuff that we're talking about in these videos over at FamilyTechGamePlan.com. If you haven't seen my free webinar over there, I encourage you to jump in and check it out. And of course, there's an invitation into an online course. If you're super freaked and you want help with someone like me walking you and your kids together through this in an online course, the invitation is there for you as well. Okay, FamilyTechGamePlan.com. Mom and Dad, I know this is a crazy world that we're living in and you didn't sign up for this, but here we are. We're all in it together. I believe in you. You can do it. Talk to you soon.